how to keep a positive mindset around negative people. It seems these days, especially for me, I'm not sure about you, but there seems to be a lot of negativity swirling around. We've been through a lot together in these last few years, right? Just as a global community. But now there's a whole lot of politics thrown in. Not that there wasn't before, but it just seems to me, just from my observation, to be getting really nasty. And I teach mindset, right? So, who am I to teach if I can't keep a positive mindset of my own? So in this video, I'm going to give you 9 fail-safe strategies that I utilize in my own life so that no matter what is going on out there with anybody else, I can keep a positive mindset and a smile on my face. I can move forward even if there's nothing that I can do about my exposure to the negativity or the negative people. So if you have negative people in your household, your work environment, if there are other people who you encounter who you detect that negative energy from, please stick around because these strategies are things that can start helping you right away.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
I'm about to share with you my 9 personal strategies that work for me to keep a mindset that's positive even when I'm around negative people. Now, these strategies have helped me to remain positive when I've been in a negative workplace. It's been a few years because I've been running my own company, which is a very positive workplace, for a while, but they have worked for me in a workplace. They've worked for me around negative family members. They've worked for me around people that I can't avoid. They've worked for me around people that I can avoid. I'm going to lay out my personal plan for you. But first, before we get to the goods, can you check and see if you're a subscriber of this channel? And if not, please click that subscribe button and then the little bell if you can see that. So what the bell does is it just tells you that we've dropped a new video whenever you pop into YouTube. Okay, so here we go. I always tell you to get a pen and a piece of paper so that you can take notes. And if you don't have access to that right now, drop down the video description below there. You can go in and you can type comments in and just use that as your notepad because that works too. It just helps to reinforce your learning when you're hearing things. Have you ever had somebody tell you something and then you're like, oh, wait, what was that? What was that? I didn't write it down. Exactly. So go ahead, type it in, write it down. And if you want to know what your notes are, you don't have to watch this video again, or you can, but you'll always have them here in that comment section because nobody's going to delete them. All right. So the very first strategy that I want to share with you today that I utilize when I'm around negative people is I seek to understand the situation. I seek to understand who I am in the situation. I seek to understand who the other person is, where they're coming from, but most of all, I seek to understand what's in it for me and what do I have to lose. It helps me to put into perspective how emotionally involved I'm going to get in the interaction. If I don't have a whole lot to gain, or if I do have a lot to lose, then I'm going to want a distance there from this interaction. If it doesn't really impact my life one way or the other, just seeking to understand the lay of the land here or the playing field will help you to decide the importance. It's really just an act of prioritization. So number 1, seek to understand. Number 2, I'd like you to go through this really quick checklist. And I've given this to you before when we've been talking about arguing with people or disagreeing, anything that's relationship communication, we don't always agree, and that's fine as long as we're kind and respectful and honorable with the way that we speak. But I'd like you to go through this little exercise I call PNN. And that stands for positive, neutral, or negative. When we encounter people that feel negative to us, it's really easy to be like, oh, that person's stupid or an idiot or negative or wrong, whatever. Enter negative adjective here, right? It's really easy for us to label them. But if you'll just ask yourself, are they positive, neutral, or negative? Usually, not always, but I would say at least 9 times out of 10 or 9.5 times out of 10, you're going to come up with the answer positive or neutral. I'd say positive more than neutral. That would be like the half out of 9.5. Usually, if you're being fair to all parties, you'll realize that there really isn't any negative intent. Even if someone vehemently disagrees with you on something, they're not disagreeing with negative intent, because from where they stand, they truly believe this other thing, and it's fine. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong and they're right, or they're right and you're wrong. It just means that from where you stand, you hold one truth, and from where they stand, they hold another truth. And the communication of that truth isn't a negative thing. At very worst, it's likely neutral. But usually, it's positive. Number 3, and I have to remind myself of this, I used to wear my feelings on my sleeve and just like they'd get hurt and brushed up against and punched all the time. It's not personal. When you're around negative people, it's only personal if you allow it to be personal. If you understand who you are, what you believe, where you want to go in this life, anything about you, you're the expert on you, then just remind yourself, this doesn't have to be personal. It can be if you let it go there. But honestly, even today, right before I recorded this, I was having a respectful, I won't say friendly disagreement, but respectful disagreement with someone. Is it personal? Am I super pissed that this person doesn't carry my same beliefs? No, because I know what I believe. I know who I am. I know what I believe. I am open to hearing the viewpoints of others, and that may influence me. I could change my standpoint, but I'm very open-minded. Most people aren't necessarily that open-minded. But I make sure that I'm not taking things personally. Number 4, compassion. Everyone is hurting in some way or another, even me, even the positive mindset lady. So if you can approach these negative people with compassion, especially if they really are negative, if they really are nasty, if they say spiteful things and the way that they deliver their words is just kind of wrapped in a sheen of blech, be compassionate toward them, because only hurt people hurt people. So employ compassion. It will be such a wonderful skill and value for you. Okay, what number are we on? 5? Forgive. When years ago, more than 10 years ago, a dozen years ago, 13 years ago, when I was going through my divorce, there were so many hurtful things that were being said by my then soon-to-be former spouse that it was difficult, and we shared a child, she was an infant at the time. It was very difficult to move forward not harboring a lot of negative energy from all of this. And so I put into practice a pre-forgiveness exercise. And at the end of every day, I would forgive this person for anything that had happened that day, if anything had happened. I would pre-forgive for the next day's ills. So there were 2 forgivenesses at the end of every day, and then I'd also decide to forgive first thing in the morning. So it was just a constant trail of forgiveness. And you know, when I started putting that into practice, he never knew I did that. He probably doesn't watch these videos. If he has a YouTube channel, I certainly wouldn't watch his. But it really stopped arguments, because the person who starts the argument is the second person to speak. And because I was being compassionate, and because I was going through this very private forgiveness ritual, he couldn't impact me anymore. It disempowered him. One thing that I tell all my clients to do, whether you have an issue with this or not, do this one thing. Start your day with gratitude. When your first thought of the day is gratitude, and I challenge you even to keep just a little gratitude journal next to your bed and just write down one bullet point of gratitude in the morning. When you start your day with gratitude, you are predisposing your head to train it to look for the things that are good. So when you're around these negative people, you'll recognize the negativity, of course, but you'll begin to find little slivers of light and hope, little gems, little pieces of gold, little diamonds, just sprinkled. Even if the diamond is, I have to be around this person right now, but it's only an hour. Even if I'm so happy and grateful that it's only an hour, even if it's something that small, that minute, if you start your day with gratitude, you'll start training yourself to keep gratitude continuously. Okay, this next one, I think that we're on number 7, if I'm counting correctly. This next one is a visualization exercise. Now, you can visualize it for yourself or for the other person or both. So I started, when I first started to do this years ago, I just visualized it for myself. If I truly believe that I'm coming from a place of compassion, love, forgiveness, and gratitude, then it's not hard for me to envision a white light surrounding me. White is purity and clarity and kindness, right? So visualize a white light around you that's much bigger than your body, and tell yourself that white light, and it's above you, beside you, behind you, it even penetrates the floor on which you're standing. Visualize that white light, and just that visualization, knowing that it is a protective layer between you and the other people, will help you to shield your energy. You can also visualize the same thing around this other person or people. And in doing this, what you're doing is you're actually wrapping them in that compassion and love energetically, just by your visualizing this for them. It sounds a little kooky, a little on the woo-woo side. Maybe it is, but I'm telling you, it works. I'll go as woo-woo as I need to if something works. Like, it's totally fine. All right, so number 8, make sure that there's a balance. If you have a really crappy workplace, really negative workplace, make sure that the rest of your life is full of things that feed your soul and make you feel like you are in true alignment with who you are at your very soul. So you've got to have that balance. If you have a negative workplace and then you come home and there's negative people there, you've got to find a way for something to give. Maybe it's getting a different job. Maybe it's living in a different place. Maybe it's finding different activities that bring joy into your life, but you really have to have that balance. And number 9, remind yourself that everything is a choice. Like I just said, maybe it's getting a different job. Maybe it's moving to a different place. You are in charge of your life, and it doesn't matter who you're responsible for or to. If you're a parent like I am, if you're married, if you're not, if you're single, if you've got commitments, you always have a choice. And that's a really great truth. You have a choice, always. You can choose to not have these negative influences in your life. You are that powerful. I hope that these 9 strategies have helped you learn how to overcome negativity around you and be a more positive person even when you're surrounded by negativity. If this has been of help to you, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you didn't subscribe already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.